the fan, when he walked in, the fan, they were talking, and obviously it's very grainy, so you really couldn't see it. He kind of walks over, and the fan kind of does one of these with his phone.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he snatches it. And then that's what led to everything. So I do think that to some extent fans do have to be held a little bit more accountable. Like if you see that they're like tired and whatnot, it's like, don't go. Some players want that, other players don't. Some athletes, it's just, but
no, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think I think it's a variety of things, and hopefully I'm not stealing anyone's thunder when I say this. And Dev, we'll go to you after I say this. But like we have to remember that these athletes are people too, and I think social media in some regards does play a large role in fans feeling like they are within arm's length of these athletes and these celebrities, and they feel that they can do whatever they want, they can say whatever they want, and athletes are just supposed to be ready and waiting and just stop their lives just so that they can entertain that fandom. You know, Dev, what do you think?
I think that you're spot on, right? Like I had the luxury, blessed to work at an AT&T in a high profile part of town in the city of Chicago. And I met a lot of athletes. I met, Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah and Taj Gibson. Hell, Taj Gibson actually dated a girl that I worked with. So I used to see him in there all the time,
Mm-hmm.
Michael Irving. I could list a whole bunch of people. What I'm trying to get at is, yes, I know that I saw these people. I do not have photographic evidence that I ever saw these people, spoke to these people, any of those things, right? Because I completely understand that, like, bro, you gotta imagine if somebody came up to you, you just trying to shop with your, your family real quick, and you're like, oh my God, can I? No, bro, I'm just trying to get this Happy Meal and get back home, pimp. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just need these Band-Aids. Like, hold on. So, like, do I think Bud Dupree was in the right to, it sounds like he headbutt the dude after, took the phone or something like that. They said that he got treated for a cut on his forehead or something like that. No, I mean, Bud Dupree needs to be better than that and just kind of understand that, like, just kind of remove yourself from the situation. But nah, man, we've been seeing it over the last year, right? Like you look at basketball, the kid mentioned it, you talk about the wrestlers, and then now we're getting it here in football. People just need to chill out, right? Like, and then, not even to talk about like COVID or any of the other things that we could be talking about when it comes to personal space right now. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, it's a bad look. I probably have, been out of line to headbutt a few people in my day as well. So I totally understand how he feels.
Lions Den, what do you think?
I mean, I agree with what Dev said. I've been in those situations too, where, I've worked in a place where a lot of athletes come through. And I'm like him. I understand they have families, they got lives. And when they're not on the field or on the court, that's their time. That's their time to just disconnect and just enjoy life. So, being that the guy would just want to go up and just try to take his own selfie without even asking, invading his privacy, I could see Bud Dupree being mad. I mean, that's normal. That's a human thing. Like, somebody's taking your picture, you're gonna ask them what they're doing, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, him late at night, no telling whatever else he probably was doing with his boys or what they were doing, but headbutting him, yeah, you're going a little too far. But at the same time, fans are just out of this world, man. I've been saying it, like you said, with basketball. That's the main thing. All this popcorn throwing, sodas and all that. Like, come on, man. Come on. Yeah, we're fans. We pay good money for these tickets. Why waste money? You know what I mean? Why waste these things that we getting caught up in the news? And it ain't about having like stardom. You're not getting stardom off of that. It makes me look like a fool.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was gonna say, you bring up a really great point in that as fans, we do pay a lot of money, whether it be season tickets or a special one-off game. to go to these events. And I think there's a lot of reverse psychology going on to some extent, and that people think they are entitled to behave this way and act this way because of the fact that they are spending so much money on these events. I mean, the basketball situation with Chris Paul and the one kid decided to get cute. I think it was when the Phoenix Suns were playing the Dallas Mavericks, and the one kid decided to get bold and cute and say something to not only Chris Paul's wife, but Chris Paul's mother.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And, there was a big to-do when Chris Paul was like, I'll see you after the game. I'll see you after the game. I had no problem. No problem with Chris Paul saying what he said. Now, a lot of people felt like he was, threatening or was going to impose himself. But again, it just goes back to these guys have lives, they have families. You just because you spent, one of the biggest things that I see is, I'm a paying customer. Yes, you're a paying customer, but that doesn't give you free reign to act a damn fool. It really doesn't, Isabel, what do you think? I'll get to you right after Isabel, Deb.
My biggest thing about this is I think there should be a punishment for fans. I really do believe in that. I believe that these athletes have paid a price to be an athlete so that they can be what they are, and they need a life. They have a life. And as a season ticket holder myself, going to a lot of events, and I see a lot of people like acting stupid, and myself witnessing something crazy at a Bengals training camp where I got pushed into a fence because this older lady wanted autographs from Chidobe Awuzie, and I just wanted a picture, and I was waiting patiently, and this lady just kept shoving stuff in this guy's face. It's like, relax. I mean, like we said before, like Glenn said before, we pay good money, and it's like seeing somebody run out on the field or like at a baseball game or a football game. You pay money to come to this just to get kicked out. Is that the logic behind that does not make any sense? And I think the biggest thing is it's a privilege to see these people play. It really is. And we need to respect their privacy, and we need to respect the fact that they're humans too, just like us. And this whole altercation with what happened, I mean, was it wrong for Bud Dupree to do that? Yeah, I guess you could say it was wrong. But is it justified? I think it's justified with the way the fan was acting. I mean, hell, if nobody's going to punish the fan, I mean, he's got to show some way that no means no. I mean, if you see a player in public and you ask them for a picture and they say no, you have to respect that. If they're willing to take the picture and all that, in my opinion, it's all about saying thank you afterwards. Especially, my parents taught me this growing up, is that if an athlete does sign something for you or take a picture with you, always say thank you afterwards. I mean, that's part of respecting the player as well, because they didn't have to take that time out of their day to sign that thing for you or take a picture with you. I mean, they could have just ignored you. So
yeah, and I think it's all in how you go about it, right? Like clearly this fan in some regard was trying to be discreet, I'm sure. Now I'll just put it to you like this. Let's say, let me say that I'm the fan and it's not necessarily a football player, but say it's Janet Jackson, right? Janet Jackson is my girl. I've been listening to her music for so long. If it's late at night and I see Janet Jackson at the pharmacy, number one, I'm probably going to try and prevent myself from hyperventilating. But I need to, as an adult, I need to find something within me to be polite and say, Miss Jackson, I know you probably get this all the time, and I know that you're here on your own accord. Is it okay? It's okay to say no, because this moment in itself is huge, right? The fact that we're in the same place at the same time, but it's just in how you go about it. If you're trying to do that, that sneaky crap, it's going to be a problem, because one, they're going to see it. You didn't get their permission. I'm sure this would have been possibly a completely different situation if that fan was respectable of his time, of his presence, and said, is it okay if I get a picture? And if he says no, it is absolutely within his right to say no. You know what I mean? Deb, what were some of your thoughts?
No, I was really just going to go back to Isabel said it, right? like we see it far too often that, players are apologizing for, what's the best way to say, like inadverse incidents, right? Like, let's go back to the Miles Bridges mouthpiece. He didn't intentionally hit that person with that mouthpiece. He was emotional at the moment, flicked the mouthpiece, hit somebody, right? Like, but we as a society like to hold athletes to a higher standard, but we're not holding ourselves to those same standards.
Preach.
And I say it all the time, like, I think that there needs to be significantly more, like, why did this need to go to court? You know what I'm saying? Like, and we've seen smaller stuff than this go to court because they think that they're going to get something because you're a high profile person. And that's
my opinion. I feel like he could have pressed charges for invading his space, to be quite honest.
In any kind of way. I mean, there could have been, obviously, charges pressed either way, but it's still just the fact of the matter that why did you even, you know what I'm saying? Why did it even need to go that far?
Exactly.
You know, if you were so excited to meet this guy, and you can't just step back for a second and be like, damn, that was rude of me. Let me chill out. Nah, instead you're like, I want to press charges. I might get a payday. Like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Because the city didn't press charges on him. The Walgreens didn't. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, that's what I'm saying. So,
yeah, we live in a TMZ. We also live in a TMZ day and age, you know, like that. And I think to an extent, that's why he was trying to be discreet. Who's to say that he wasn't trying to get something popped off so that he could send it to TMZ and get that check? You know, I don't know how big it would have been, but it's just, you just have to be more respectful. You just have to be, because it could be a situation where things go south. I mean, I didn't have it on the topic because I didn't really feel like there was too much to talk about. But that crazy incident that happened over the weekend with Talib, what's his face at that kid, you know, football game, and his brother catching a case. You know, like it just blows my mind.
Can we say something about that real quick?
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because again, like in this situation here, for me, it hit a little different because I used to coach Pop Warner football, so I know how the fans, aka parents, would approach coaches, referees, and all of this, just because their child is not getting that specific playing time or playing that position that they want them to play, or the coach is not giving them all the stardom that they want. Now, this situation is crazy because at the end of the day, you scarred 30, 40, 50 kids that were there. They're going to remember that day. Remember their coach losing his life to a gunshot. I mean, I don't care if they were 6, 7, 8 years old. They're going to remember that. And we have to, as people, as a parent whose son is getting ready to start football, I said the same thing. I'm not going to be out there on the field trying to tell that coach or that ref what he did wrong. Yes, I love the sport, but I have to tame myself and say, listen, they're doing their job. Let them do their job. We got to stop trying to live through our kids. What we didn't accomplish as kids and what we didn't accomplish, we got to stop trying to do that. Saying my son's going to be the greatest ever. I haven't told one person that, and I'll never tell anybody that. So parents, if you got kids, they're playing sports, let the people do what they do. Train your kid at home, train him the right way, teach him the game, and let the people on the field do their job.
That's an interesting perspective too. I think that also just goes back to delivery. I think it goes back as to how you ultimately instill that in your children. I know for me growing up, my parents always said, I want you to have it better than I did. The whole purpose of a parent is so that you can be better off than I was. You can have better than I have. You know, like that is acceptable, right? But I get this whole vicariously living through your children. You know, who's to say that there's kids out there that don't even want to freaking be out there, right? Because the parents, you know, they want to be on that stage on draft day. You know, they want the big house, and that's fine. It's cool to have those aspirations, but to put that type of pressure on your children and to, you know, it's one thing to uplift your kid, but it's another thing to just say my kid is better than your kid and getting on the coaches and why wasn't he or she in on this play. You know, that's when things definitely go too far for sure.
Right.
So I'm glad we hit on that a little bit. I'm definitely glad that we hit on that a little bit. Going on to our next topic, I mean, the reality is we're just going to be talking about this particular topic ad nauseum. It's not going anywhere, and that's just the facts. I know. I felt like I reached my I feel like I reached the top of the mountain as far as just disgust with this particular topic, but it's not going anywhere. And that's just is what it is. But we do finally have on record Deshaun Watson before the Browns' first preseason game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Finally, I guess you could say for some, coming out and publicly apologizing to all of the women that were involved with his sexual misconduct and as the NFL put it, predatory behavior. Do you think it's legit? Do you think it's real? Or is this just sort of a campaign for him to try to clean up his image and show Roger Goodell that he does have remorse and, possibly not be suspended for an entire season? I'll start with Isabel.
As a person who just, at the beginning when this all came out, this person who defended Deshaun Watson into moving into not defending him anymore, I honestly have mixed feelings about his apology, especially when it was right before the preseason game that he was allowed to play in. My thoughts are on that. I think he was a little bit sincere, but at the same time, I think he knows what's looming ahead of him and that he is going to probably be suspended. And I think he was also doing it to save face. Because when you take a look at what happened at the Jacksonville game, the video of the fans and what they said to him, and
they were
screaming at him. And then what that offensive lineman, I forget his name, it starts with like a J, it's like Joel something, had said after about the fans and stuff, which his comment kind of rubbed me the wrong way too, in regards that it was like Cleveland against the world, all that nonsense. My thoughts are that if Deshaun was sincerely sorry, why didn't he apologize? Why would he have not apologized earlier, before everything? Why would he wait until the game that he's about to finally play in, and not like way back when he knows that if he really does believe he is innocent, why not say he is sorry for how much this has caused so far before the entire mess? Because at first I really did think it was something that these women were after, a big paycheck. And I got reading into more and more about the details, and it just got messier and messier, and I really just could not handle it. And as a person who knows somebody in my family that had a very similar situation, that part got to me with what happened. It really did. And I just really don't know how to word this without being extremely way, but that's really all I can say about this right now.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of leaning towards you and your sentiment and your feelings. First and foremost, I want to apologize for your family member that did go through a similar situation. Obviously, we wouldn't want to wish anything like that on anybody, and anyone within our chat that may know someone or has experienced something like that, obviously our hearts are definitely with you, and we don't condone that type of behavior. But, I was very, very pro. I was very pro Deshaun Watson, and I think I'm where you're at. I'm where you're at and where I'm having mixed emotions as well, in that the timing of it all, if you were really remorseful, and if you were really, sorry for what you did, why wait before kickoff of the first preseason game to say? And even when he said it, it sounded super rehearsed. It
really did.
It sounded rehearsed. It didn't sound like it came, but I don't know, maybe it's one of those situations where he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't. If he looked into the camera, we probably all would have said the same thing. But I won't get too much into the weeds because I do want to get all of your guys' perspective. Kid, what do you think? Is he cap or real?
Most part, I think it's cap. That's just I watched the interview, the snippet that was shown about it, and I mean Isabel hit the nail on the head, and I kind of did a little bit more looking into it, and a lot of us were at the exact same point when this whole ordeal first started. He comes out, he doesn't want to be in Houston. Okay, all of a sudden, all these come out. I mean,
yeah,
that was timing was like that, but for me, when I look at it, like the timing of the whole thing, like you had two opportunities. One at the first press conference that you ever did for Cleveland, but you stood on your ground. You had no regrets. Minicamp comes up. You're asked about it again. You still stand on the morals that you have no regrets, but at the exact same time, you're starting to really. It was a roundabout apology even back then, because like, oh, you know, my teammates, you know, this and that. I'm like, dude, just come on and say it. And then all of a sudden, Judge Robinson handed down her feelings on it and said, because of your lack of emotions, because of the lack of everything during this whole proceeding is the reason why you're doing this. And then the NFL does what they're gonna do. Roger Goodell, they want a higher ban. They want a higher suspension than six games. Now all of a sudden you're gonna come out and say, oh, well, I'm sorry for, you know, all the women. And I'm just like, dude, like,
yep.
And it definitely sounded rehearsed. It definitely sounded like his PR team was definitely behind, say, hit these bullet points. Mm-hmm. You know, that rehearsed promo that you hear about in wrestling. Like, it's like, dude, that sounded so rehearsed, sounded so canon. It's like, dude, just come out and be genuine. And why are you waiting till after the judge said that?
Yep.
Because of your lack of showing remorse, showing regret, now all of a sudden you're coming out like, dude, come on now, let's get real.
Yep, that's an excellent point, kid. Like, it's almost like, oh, so this is what I have to do to keep my 6-game suspension, or for it to not go higher than a 6-game suspension. Okay, let me come out here and show that I am really sorry for all the women and all the victims that were involved. Had she not said that, would we have seen that apology, last weekend before the Jaguars game?
Exactly.
It's a lot.
Normally not until after somebody says something in this type of situation or addresses it that somebody finally says sorry. And from firsthand experience, I know that because I've witnessed it. It's not until it's addressed that they say sorry and they don't mean it.
And it's not until it affects them in a way in which they don't have control anymore. If they've got control of the situation, hell no, they're not sorry, right? They're not sorry. But as soon as it's something out of their control and it's affecting them in a negative way, or it's preventing them from doing something or having something, yeah, that's when they're sorry. That's when all of a sudden they've had a change of heart and they want to show emotion, and it's just kind of like, really? Dev, what do you think?
I think he didn't have a say in the matter. I think that apology didn't come from him. That apology didn't come from his PR team. He didn't give a hoot what that judge said. The Cleveland Browns give a hoot what that judge said. That's where that apology came from. Somebody in that organization sat him down and said, look here, we gave you a lot of motherfucking money. Not play. So and look, you have to come out and think about it, right? Like, how many times did they come out and say, we are not interested in Jimmy G? You want to know why? Because we are going to do what we need to do. We're going to rub whatever elbows we need to rub. We're going to kiss whatever feet we need to kiss. God damn it, Deshaun Watson will be a Cleveland Brown this year.
Yep.
That's where that came from. And that's how I felt when I saw it. I said, oh, this ain't come from him. He did this because they told him he had to do this. And he's trying to be or whatever. Look, he stood this entire time, and for a little bit of time, some of us here even thought that, like, yo, this feel kind of suspect, and just like Kid said, for the longest time, he was like, no, because that's not what happened. No, I'm not gonna apologize because that isn't what happened. For him to all of a sudden do that, I mean, if anything, it really hurt his credibility as a human being moving forward.
Yeah.
So if anything, he's gonna just get negative emotion and negative. There was no way he was gonna do that and get any sort of positive response out of it. He was better off just not saying anything. He was better off just showing up and playing the game and not saying anything. Talk to me after the game. I don't have any media availability prior to the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a bad look, but I mean, I think we can all agree that didn't come from Deshaun Watson. That came from somewhere else. I don't even think it came from within his team. I think that really came from the Cleveland Browns being like, yeah, this needs to happen, pimp. Like, make that happen. So. Yeah.
Lionsden, what do you think?
I mean, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it like that. It was cap. Like, it didn't come from him. I mean, to be honest, when I seen it, I was like, that's mama talking. Mama like, listen, you need to get out there and do something, because this house you done bought me, this car, whatever it is, I'm gonna end up losing this, because you're gonna lose money. And when I say lose money, you need to go, whoever you need to go to, find them, find a way to say it, and just get it over with. Because at the end of the day, let's be real. He's looking at getting suspended. They're going to take money out of their pocket, one way or another. And I mean, we know young athletes, they go out and spend all this money and buy these houses and these cars. Imagine having to sit out a whole year with no pay.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh, but when you said what you said, have you seen the movie American Gangster with Denzel Washington, where he plays Frank Lucas? It reminds me of that scene at the end of the movie with his mom, where she said, I never asked you where all this came from. I never cared about that. But you don't shoot cops. Everybody knows that. And she slapped him and said,
right. That's it.
As you was going through that statement, I'm thinking to myself, just imagining his mother's like, yeah, you may have bought me all this, but I will still take the belt to you.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You're not old enough to get the belt.
She said, I never asked you where all this came from, blah, 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 but you don't shoot cops. But yeah, I agree.
It was straight up that phone call. I mean, we all, let's be real. We all done had a phone call like that from mama. I mean, do something. Like, you're a grown man. You need to get out there and do something, because at the end of the day, I can't pay for this. Your daddy can't pay for this, or whoever it is can't pay for it. It's your money that we using to pay for this. So I need for you to do something. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? Find a way. Whatever you got to say. And you could just tell, because again, when you make a kid do something, you can tell when they ain't want to do nothing. He was just standing there like, whatever. Okay, I apologize. No, come on, man.
I think he's dug himself so far a hole to where it is at that point where he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't. Let's just say that up to this point, it's all been an act, and it's all just been him being poker face and not trying to have anybody break down that wall. Let's say that wall does get broken down, and he's having an R. Kelly interview talking about, I'm fighting for my life, or something like that. Like, it's still I'm just saying, like, he's not gonna be believable. Then everybody's gonna write him off, even if that is really his emotions, so he just, I'm with Isabel. I feel real indifferent about the situation, about the situation, the timing of it all. Dev, I agree with you. I think you hit the nail on the head, and that this man could not care. The Cleveland Browns said, we done gave you all of that freaking money guaranteed, and you need to say something. Like, you have to say something. Period. Point blank. Case closed.
I feel sorry for the people that have to play him, thinking, what if they have little sisters? Because my dad brought this up to me. What if they have little sisters, like these big defensive linemen? What if they have little sisters who might have went through something like this? They're gonna want to rip this dude to shreds. Like, they don't care if they get suspended a few games, if they take out his knees, or if they go for targeting. They're out for blood, and him showing no emotion at all just makes it even worse.
I agree. Like I said in the very beginning with this topic, it's not going anywhere. Hopefully we find out how long, if there will be further suspension for Deshaun. I things have been kind of quiet outside of what happened over the weekend. I don't know if it'll be I think no matter what, as soon as Cleveland says that he's starting, whether it's preseason or whatever, it's still going to be big. I mean, do you guys even agree with him playing? Shout out to Shotmaster. If I can get one of my mods to shout out Shotmaster, he was more on the fence of serve your suspension regardless of whether it's preseason or regular season. Like, you need to sit down. Do you guys agree with that? That he shouldn't even be?
I think it's unfair that he's even getting to practice with the team. First of all, like, if you're gonna be suspended and stuff, why the heck are you practicing in the first place? I mean, why is he even allowed to practice first team reps if you're gonna suspend him? That I do not get. Like, are you gonna punish him, or are you just gonna slap him on the wrist? I mean, that's where I have a problem with the NFL, where they just give a slap on the wrist to guys, and they think they can get away with things like this, or even worse. And I mean, I don't even think he should have been playing in the preseason, anyways.
Yeah. I mean, I think he should just take the L, because when it comes to stuff like this, man, it's not even the fact that he's going to the suspension part, but it's going to be the mental aspect of it. He's not going to be any good, because so many fans are going to, like we just talked about it, so many fans are going to give him so much crap. I mean, even guys on the field probably going to give him crap because they don't agree with some of the stuff he done. So it's kind of like, just go ahead and take the L, man. Sit out and come back next season or whatever. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
You guys are forgetting the most important aspect. This ain't his decision. Y'all, they gave that man guaranteed money. He gonna do whatever they ask him to do, because they were the only people that believed in him and came out and said that they believed in him. Like, they didn't just give him the money. They came out and had a whole press conference. We don't believe Deshaun Watson is what you all think Deshaun Watson is. We did our research in X, Y, and Z and Z, Y, and X, and we didn't find anything that said X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. He's doing this because Cleveland says to do it. Now, as far as the suspension part, it's out of their hands. I mean, unless Roger Goodell decides to grow a pair, it's out of their hands because of the way that the rulings are with the CBA and everything like that. That anything preseason doesn't count, right? Like, that's why even the tampering rules had to be approved by the CBA for the owners, because of the whole, they're not actually allowed to be with the team or anything as soon as the suspension starts. But that is all new as of just this year. So it ain't his decision. He doing this because they want to make sure he can still play football. That's what y'all need to understand. Like, he missed a whole year of football already. They had to make sure this man can still drive. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, at the same time, they did structure his contract to where, like, him losing time wasn't going to hit him in the pocket too much. So
that's why the NFL, that's really what the NFL cares about too. They've come out and said that they're looking somewhere upwards of like a $4 to $5 million fine. They're trying to set
I heard 10 million.
Yeah,
I definitely heard 10 million.
They're trying to set a precedence with Deshaun Watson right now. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I tend to keep my mouth shut about it because I feel indifferent like you guys do, right? Like, I mean, there's a lot of things that still say he didn't do this stuff. There's a lot of things that says he did do this stuff. We won't know. He knows, them women know, and God knows. And that's all who's ever gonna know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like,
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, and that's another aspect that we didn't really look at it as well. Maybe that's why he's had this demeanor that he's had this whole time, because of the fact that he didn't do nothing. And he's legit just R. Kelly and fighting for his life, you know? Sorry.
Second time Robert's name's been brought up. Okay. We got none about tonight.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think this, you know, that this Deshaun Watson conversation is definitely not going anywhere. We'll more than likely, I thought we were going to have a decision on Deshaun Watson as far as further suspension before preseason week 1, but that wasn't the case. I was kind of leaning towards maybe the NFL wanted to see if he was going to bedazzle or you know, show some spark in that first preseason game, which was the furthest thing from what actually happened, and then they were going to lay the hammer down after that. But, you know, the Deshaun thing, it's not going anywhere, but, you know, we'll continue to see what happens. We'll continue to monitor it and go from there. Now, let's move on to our next topic. We're going to stay on the lines of quarterback. In fact, the rest of the show is just pretty much going to be about quarterbacks. Malik Willis. I don't think he wasn't taken in the first round by the Tennessee Titans.
Third round, I think.
Yeah, so he was taken in the third round. He looked pretty doggone good when they played, what was it, the Ravens? Yeah, it was the Ravens last Thursday night. Could we see Malik Willis start over Ryan Tannehill, or is this just all super hype right now? I mean, listen, I think it's no secret. We all get hype with mobile quarterbacks. The reality is they have these flashy years or flashy first years because there's not one lick of film on them. So, you know, defenders have to figure out how to defend what it is that they do. But that's not to take away from his talent. That's not to take away what we saw in the first preseason game. What do you think the possibilities are? And I'll start with Lions Den. What do you think the possibilities are that we potentially see him take Ryan Tannehill's spot?
I think it's very likely that we see it. That's only because, again, I know someone that worked hand in hand with Malik Willis, and I've talked with them about him just because I wanted the more insight on like the type of guy he was and how he did things. And from my understanding, he has that mindset that he's always been looked at as low and nobody really believed in him. So his work ethic is out of sight, out of mind. So he's definitely there to prove himself. Now, I don't know if that's going to carry him in the long haul, but it's very likely that we can see that happen with the way that he's trying to channel in and really pick up the game. This is his first year. I mean, he's going to make mistakes. All rookies make mistakes.
Yeah.
Just knowing that he has that dog in him and he wants to be out there on that field and he wants to prove people wrong, that's enough to say that it's very likely that he can take over Tannehill's job.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he does have a chip on his shoulder because when he was drafted, Ryan Tannehill kind of had to clean up his words a little bit, but initially, you know, he was pretty much on record saying, hey, it's not my job to show this guy around. It's not my job to invite this guy to the lunch table. It's not my job to make this guy give him a warm welcome. I mean, he ultimately cleaned that up, but I think that is definitely Ryan Tannehill's sentiment, simply because I think he went through something similar when he was drafted by Miami. I mean, if we think back to, you know, when Ryan Tannehill was drafted by Miami, I think Jared Garrard was there, Matt Moore was there, going into the season, or no, David Garrard, I'm sorry, I totally butchered his name, but going into that season, David Garrard was the starting quarterback, and then he got hurt, unfortunately, but, you know, maybe he's just, you know, has that demeanor, has that mindset of, hey, I'm not no one helped me, right? No one adjusted me to the league. So for you all to expect me to do the same, just like with Aaron Rodgers, Favre wasn't trying to help Rodgers, and Rodgers played the game of, hey, we're buddy, yay, yay. But at the end of the day, Rodgers was like, listen, this is going to be my job at some point, Kid, what do you think? Could we see Malik?
Well, to touch on the Ryan Tannehill coming into the league, I still say that Matt Moore should have been starting that year, just prior to the year before.
Yeah.
But that's a completely different story. Do I think that Malik Willis is going to start this year? Unless I'm going to say absolutely not. And that's not taken away from his skill and what he can do on the football field. Ryan Tannehill's the quarterback there. I'm by no means a big Tannehill fan, to be completely honest. People that have seen me talk about Ryan Tannehill do know about that. But unless it is a blowout, either them winning in a blowout or them losing in a blowout, or they lock up a first round bye and they're not gonna play Tannehill like in the final weeks, then I could definitely see it. But at the end of the day, unless Tannehill gets hurt or he just comes out and looks like absolute trash, and the fans start wanting him, absolutely not. Although we could see a Russell Wilson type thing, where Matt Flynn was set to be the starter and Russell Wilson just flat out outplayed him. But
that's a good
in
point
terms
too.
of Malik Willis starting, I don't see it unless those certain things go in.
Isabel, you've been super high on Malik, whether on Twitter, whether in the Discord. You've spoken very, very highly of Mr. Malik. Do you see him potentially becoming the starter this season over Ryan Tannehill?
Probably after half of the season. I mean, I need to remind y'all that this is the starting quarterback who went to therapy after losing a divisional round to the Bengals, and he threw 3 interceptions. If he doesn't mentally prepare himself that this is something that is going to happen, he's just in for a whole lot of pain, and he needs to start. Like, I get that when he first came in the league, nobody taught him the ropes and all that, but we're in a new generation where it's not expected, but I mean, as a good person, you should help the rookie at some point, because you're aging. If you don't get the ring or you don't make the Super Bowl in the next, 2 to 5 years, you're not going to make it as a starter. I mean, we've seen some guys sit on the bench longer, like Rodgers behind Favre, and we all knew Rodgers was going to take over at some point, and look how great he became. And then we saw how Rodgers mentored sort of Jordan Love, and that whole situation. Not really, sort of.
I was just gonna say, I don't think that happened.
that never happened. But we saw, and we kind of saw that with, I want to say, this is such a reach, I think, Andy Dalton, Ryan Finley, sort of, not really, when that first happened. And we see it every now and then, where a good quarterback will try to mentor the young guys, and the young guys don't have it. I mean, it just happens. But I think Malik Willis has that talent. I think Ryan Tannehill just does not step it up this year, and he throws, let's say, 3 picks in a game again, like he did in divisional. He's not gonna cut it. Those interceptions are the reason why they lost the game. They really are. And that defense got 9 sacks from the Bengals, and they still lost. That's because your quarterback can't throw a damn pass worth it and just throw 3 interceptions. That's why they drafted a quarterback. And for him to still have been on the board in the 3rd round was an absolute steal, in my opinion. Just we don't see that many types of quarterbacks who have a good arm, who have good legs, who can do both at the same time. I mean, we have Lamar Jackson, we have Kyler Murray, we have all that. But when a guy who just comes right out of college with that talent, you have to grasp it right away and get to know what are his like weaknesses, what are his strengths right away, so that you can try to find a way to make defenses be confused. I mean, nobody really had figured out Lamar Jackson for a while, I think is what that question was, is coming from last year, is has anybody figured out Lamar Jackson? And I think going off of just Malik Willis, we saw a lot of young guys have a fantastic preseason game. I mean, we saw Kenny Pickett, your guy, have a good day. We saw Sam Howell. We saw Desmond Ridder, who I think nobody is talking about, which is insane to think about. We have to start thinking that these guys are going to be the future of the NFL at some point, probably. I mean, they drafted them for a reason. Marcus Mariota in Atlanta, I don't think it's going to stick. As much as I love Mariota, I don't think that's going to stick for very long. Right. We have to think, is Carson Wentz the future of the Commanders when they drafted Sam Howell? I don't think so either. Are we going to say Mitchell Trubisky is the future of the Steelers? I don't think so. It's starting to become that point where all these guys, or all these teams that have drafted a quarterback, they're going to be starting pretty soon. And whether they could take a chance on them or not this season, we'll see. But I think they'll take a shot on Malik Willis, because last year the Titans did have the first round bye, and they got sent home right away on their own field. So we'll see. I mean, and they'll have Derrick Henry hopefully for a longer season too, and we'll see if maybe that helps Tannehill out a little bit. But if he's just not playing that great, they'll probably put Malik Willis in, because fans are gonna, like Kid said, fans are gonna want to see him play when their regular starting quarterback is not doing good.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to address a comment that was made in the chat. B Park said, in the NFL, it's your job to keep your job and help your team. It's not your job to help someone replace you. That's the coach's job. I don't know that any of us are saying that Tannehill should be buddy-buddy with Malik Willis. I just think that, of course, that's more than likely the mindset that he had, obviously, but I don't know that that's something that he should have said publicly. Like, you could, deep down, you can be a dog about it, but you know the media is going to run with it. You know the media is going to eat it alive. And yeah, it's not, you're right. Yeah, it's not his job to be buddy-buddy, but you don't have to necessarily say that, out loud. And I think that it is definitely an all or nothing year for the Tennessee Titans, for sure. If let's say that Malik Willis doesn't actually start, and it's Ryan Tannehill for the rest of the season, he in tandem with Derrick Henry. If they don't make it to the AFC Championship game at the very least, I think Tannehill's done. Despite the fact that Malik Willis was taken in the third round, I think that he's done. We just saw a quarterback get traded to the Washington Commanders because he single-handedly lost the game based off of his turnovers. Yes, I'm talking about Carson Wentz. And Ryan Tannehill, he's been given another shot. He's been given another chance. And I really think it's an all or nothing year. Why else would they have gone out and got Malik Willis? I think they said, let's, no, we don't want to draft him in the first and second round, but, there could be some potential there. Dev, what do you think about this?
I think you guys were beating up on Ryan Tannehill. I mean, you guys have to remember, he didn't have that team ran behind A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry. And they were both, Derrick Henry's coming off of a pretty major injury, and A.J. Brown played through an injury, right? Who else does he really have on that team with him? So yeah, he threw 3 interceptions, sure. Malik Willis looked great. It's exciting. He also played against other people that are of his caliber. He didn't play against the first string defense. You know what I mean? And sometimes I think folks be real quick to jump the gun on preseason sometimes. I love watching football just as much as the next person. Y'all know me. I live and breathe this ish, right? Malik Willis will inevitably be a great quarterback. Unless Ryan Tannehill goes out there and loses multiple games, they have a lot of confidence in Ryan Tannehill. They took Malik Willis in the third round because he was the best available player at the time in the third round. They didn't take Malik Willis because they were looking to replace Ryan Tannehill. So,
I don't know if they were looking to replace him, but I'm sure they,
They're thinking about the future for sure. Ryan Tannehill ain't exactly no spring chicken, right? Like we
Not at all.
you know what I mean? So like, but I just think the ideology of him coming in this year, two things would have to happen. They would either have already had to have lost enough games to where the playoffs are on the line, or at this point they're already missed, or Ryan Tannehill would have to have multiple 3 interception games in order to see.
If he throws for 4 interceptions again in a game, he's got to be out of there.
I don't think. But that doesn't mean he's
going
to
to
start
throw 4
the next
picks
week
against the Texans. And if he continues to do that, like you said, if he continues to do that, then he's kind of given up his stance. But if he can stay consistent with not throwing,
he didn't really lose in games last year, though. That's what people like. Y'all have to remember. Like Derrick Henry was running the ball at an amazing pace. The fact that he really only broke his foot when he broke his foot was crazy, right?
Yeah.
And that wasn't because of Ryan Tannehill. That was just because Derrick Henry is a man. Like
He's a
that's a lot of
Minotaur.
that is I ain't never seen a man throw another full speed man off of them with one arm the way I've seen Derrick Henry do it multiple times. I don't know. I'd have to to believe right now that it's Ryan Tannehill's job to lose when there's never been any other controversy. If they were, like I said, if they were genuinely concerned, there were plenty of opportunities. Plenty of people called and inquired about Ryan Tannehill from the Tennessee Titans. They move AJ Brown out because he doesn't fit. He didn't, he was an issue. He was a problem in the locker. So I think there's a lot of other things going on that happened against your Cincinnati Bengals down there, Miss Isabel, than just Ryan Tannehill's 3 interceptions. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know about that. Our defense. Not that great last year, in my opinion, but
Eli Apple, baby. Let's go.
I don't know how you're gonna give up 3 picks to the defense with Eli Apple is all I gotta say. Yo. And then sack Joe Burrow 9 times and you still lose that game. It's still yo.
You can sack Joe Burrow 11 times, but if he finds Jamar Chase for 200 plus yards, the game is over. If Jamar Chase catches the ball for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns,
Tannehill's first throw of the game was a pick to Jesse Bates.
That's not my fault. You fighting the wrong fight here.
I'm just saying. How do you throw the first pick? How do you throw the first throw of the game? It's a freaking pick.
So let me ask you this. So if Mr. Trubisky's first pass of his 2023 season for the Pittsburgh Steelers is a pick, you gonna be calling for old boy? Is that how this works?
No, because that'll be against the Bengals. So.
Oh my God.
Let him stay in there.
You can't bring her unbiased self on here no more.
Let him stay in there. He does a pick first game. Hey,
should
keep him
have
in
known
there.
she was gonna go that route. That's a sold out game too. That friggin' Paycor Stadium is sold out week 1 for them Pittsburgh Steelers. But no, I see your point.
I don't get a pick first play of the game. I'm gonna be mad.
Well, don't think that we ain't gonna pick on Eli Apple. That's all I'm saying.
But that burnt toast trash mother effing person. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Isabel. See, y'all really got her going now. She said mother effing.
I hate that cornerback so much, which is why I'm glad we drafted Taylor Britt so much. Cam Taylor Britt.
Yeah. Well, I think the consensus is more than likely we will not see Malik Willis. Well, I would say the majority of us. I shouldn't say the consensus. I think the majority of us think that we will not see Malik Willis start. And I'm knocking on wood, and you guys know me. I don't wish injury on anybody unless there's an emergency situation where he has to start. More than likely, that would be the case. But I don't know. I there's a part of me that does think that Ryan Tannehill has been put on notice, despite the fact that Malik Willis was the best guy on the board. I still think that that lit some fire under Ryan Tannehill's ass for sure. To your point, Dev, he's definitely not a spring chicken. I think he was drafted by Miami in the first round back in 2012. 10 years ago. He's been in the league for going on over 10 years. So we'll see how far the Tennessee Titans get. Yes, Derrick Henry did get hurt and he was a good portion of their offense. I mean, he was on his way to MVP, and a lot of Titans fans, I won't name any names, but a lot of Titans fans were butthurt because Jonathan Taylor, I forget what award he got, but either way, I would agree that I don't think we'll see Malik Willis start. Our last subject of the night, which is it's an interesting one. Well, I feel like all the subject matters have been interesting, but Zach Wilson in the Jets preseason game last Saturday got hurt in a non-contact play. He did like this awkward juke against a defender, and he didn't tear his ACL. I think, what was it? Some type of meniscus something. He jacked up his knee to where he has to have it scoped, and he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. It seems that the Jets coach is more than confident in Joe Flacco, which brings up a very interesting storyline that I'm sure, a lot of reporters are jumping, they like to see the future and jump on things ahead of time, but should Joe Flacco start week 1, he will be going up against his former team in the Baltimore Ravens in New York. I don't think the game is in Baltimore. Joe Flacco was actually asked about that, and in his mind, it's like, hey, yeah, I'm not. We say in front of the camera that we're not thinking about it too much. We're trying not to buy too much into the hype, but as they get closer to the game, they do get nervous. They do think about it. They do want to perform at a very, very high level to show that team, their former team, that, hey, you gave up on me, and look where I'm at now. I say all that to say, and the question that I have for all of you is, should the Jets still possibly entertain Jimmy G? It blows my mind. That Jimmy G is still available. And I always felt like it was going to take some kind of injury for him to get looked at. I will start with Lions Den, because I know Lions Den is a 49ers fan, and no one wants Jimmy G out of San Francisco faster than Lions Den. We probably already even know the answer to this question. Do you think the Jets should entertain Jimmy G, or just roll with the punches, roll with Joe Flacco, and just see what happens?
If I'm talking from a fan perspective here, take Jimmy G as far as away from me as possible. That's a whole nother coast. Take it. Yeah. Whatever you got to do, however you got to do it, they can have it. But to be real, with them having Joe Flacco, and if you say Joe Flacco versus Jimmy G, at this point, I would probably entertain that Jimmy G thing versus Joe Flacco. It seems like Joe Flacco is just falling off the wagon tremendously. Granted, they're on the Jets. I think if you take Jimmy G to the Jets, you reunite him with Robert Saleh, who knows kind of what Jimmy G's doing. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it kind of works in a way. But yeah, sure. Just definitely take him to the East Coast. Do your thing. Good luck. Same time.
So get him freaking out of here. Kid, what do you think?
When I really look at it, I'm gonna say no. Yeah, you have the whole history between Jimmy G and Robert Saleh. Who knows a player better than their former coach? Granted, he was the defensive coordinator in San Fran, but he had to game plan against him every single day in practice. So he knows his strengths and weaknesses. But let's remember this. Flacco's 37. He is in no contention for the starting gig over Zach Wilson, who is 23. Jimmy G is only 30 years old, which is still, depending, you could say that he's still kind of in his prime, even though his prime has been hit or miss for pretty much ever since he came to San Fran. But let's just say that Jimmy G comes out first 4 weeks, sets it on fire. I mean, you're talking, granted, the first 4 games, at least 1 to 2 of them are winnable. So they're either going to go 0-4 or they're going to go like 1-3 or 2-2. But let's just say he comes out and plays phenomenal. But it's the defense that costs them the game. When it comes time for Zach Wilson to come back, but Jimmy G's playing well, are they going to turn the keys back over to him?
Right.
I say roll with Flacco. You're going to get what you get out of Flacco, but let Zach Wilson watch him and learn from him. Yeah, Flacco is not the quarterback that he was when he was in Baltimore. We all know this. But I bring it back, and this kind of reminded me of Josh Allen's rookie year. He got hurt, was out for a couple games. They brought in Derek Anderson, who, let's face it, hadn't been anything since the 1 year in Cleveland.
Yeah.
What happened when
that was back in the day?
You saw the improvement because he sat behind a veteran and he learned to break things down.
Right.
Let Flacco be that guy for Zach Wilson, because you're not going to bring in a guy that is entering in his second year, and you're not going to bring in a quarterback that is 30 years old and not expect him to potentially compete for the starting gig.
Right. Dev, what do you think?
I think that San Francisco is not really in a rush to move Jimmy G. Because I know
you want him gone, Jeff. We want him out of here.
No, if they really want him out of here.
They moved him to fourth string.
Listen, if they really wanted him out of here, he would have moved on draft day, because teams offered pretty solid packages to get him on draft day. And they said, no, thank you. What that got to do with anything? I hear you. Now, let me stop hating. I'm a Chicago fan. Trust me, I know about goddamn stingy owners. Let me tell you. Okay? Second of all, don't let anybody in here get brainwashed by the kid. You see his hat. He don't want Jimmy G in New York, damn it, because that's a threat. Because low-key, New York got a squad. And if they could get a quarterback, that's a problem.
No,
boy,
kid,
please.
they kind of do.
They
Get to Buffalo.
I believe in the Jets.
Buffalo.
Yeah, okay.
That whole division runs through Buffalo. Let's not forget
stop.
that.
You, boy, they had to ship Tom Brady to Miami and get tampering calls involved for Josh Allen to finally show up, and he's still wet the bed. Stop. Anyways, look, all I'm saying is, they're not in a rush to move Jimmy G. Don't get it twisted. I think that there's a relationship there that they're still trying to figure out, and they're also not going to move him for a bag of chips like they did, like we've seen on other players, right? Because at the end of the day, if, we ain't never wishing injury on anybody, but if Trey Lance get a little reckless, get a little hurt 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks in the season, you already know you could plug Jimmy G in there and he's going to do what he needs to do. This team almost won a Super Bowl with Jimmy G. I don't really understand where this Jimmy G hate comes from, honestly.
Thank you.
Honestly, you're not asking him to do anything more than you're asking Tom Brady to do. And yet somehow Tom Brady is revered because he had a good defense and a great kicker to make him the most winningest quarterback of all time. Jimmy G go out, do the same thing in San Francisco, beats up on the big bad Green Bay Packers, and Jimmy G is a slouch because he only threw 5 passes in a playoff game. What the? I don't understand this narrative. I never have.
Yeah.
I never have. Boy, for a hot second, I was like, put Jimmy G in Chicago. I'll take him. But then we got Justin Fields, so now I'm okay. But still, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand this narrative, honestly. I don't understand the hate that Jimmy G gets. I think his is even less deserved than the Ryan Tannehill we just talked about. The dude wins football games. and he also gets injured. Two things you can guarantee Jimmy G gonna do. He gonna f his knee up every 2 to 3 seasons, and then he gonna take your ass to the damn divisional championship.
NFC championship.
I don't understand. Like, just ride that out. Ride that out. There are teams like Detroit would love to be in the damn NFC championship every couple of years. You know what I'm saying? They would love it. So I don't understand it. Do I think that they should call about him? Yes. Because I think ultimately anytime you can have great minds in the quarterback room, everybody wins. It doesn't really matter who is starting per se, but anytime you can get great minds in the quarterback room, everybody wins. You see it, Montana Young, like you said, with Rodgers and Favre. They may not have been buddy, but Rodgers learned a lot from Favre just from being in his area. Yeah. I think that the price for Jimmy G is higher than people want to realize too. Like, I understand that y'all may want to go ahead and talk, but you're also understanding the value that he offers. Again, this man is a 2-time NFC, almost Super Bowl champion. So like, it's something to be said about that. It's something to be said. And to be honest, I ain't never seen Jimmy G lose y'all a game. To be fair, I've seen that defense lose a game, but I ain't never seen Jimmy G lose a game. At least Ryan Tannehill lost the damn game. I understand it a little bit more. I just went back
in the
and
NFC
watched.
Championship game, defense lost that game.
Facts.
I mean,
Thank
that dropped
Jimmy
interception.
G, Jimmy G low-key clutched up harder than Josh Allen and scored and threw the game-winning drive. And y'all defense let y'all down, I don't understand. So that's all I'm saying, man. I'm gonna leave it at that. But I think Jimmy G probably is not. I mean, you're not gonna see Jimmy G move for like some 5th round pick or something like that. I can tell you that.
Oh no,
he'll sit there for a little bit.
Can I ask you something, Dan?
Any rush? Yeah, talk to me, big dog. Yeah, talk to me. If you gonna hate on the Bears, I'm gonna mute myself. So.
No. No. So going back to your point. Now you said this, the NFC Championship game. My defense lost it, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about the Super Bowl? What about that Super Bowl? Can you tell me what happened in that Super Bowl?
Oh, listen, the Super Bowl, y'all wasn't ready for that. That was a different game.
I mean, we were controlling the game. Right?
Listen, hold on, stop it. Do we not
remember? The problem is you guys stopped running the football.
Same team. You talking about the same team.
But whose hands did we put it in, Izzy? After we stopped running
the football? But the coach decided to stop running the football.
Whose hands did we put it in, though?
We just stopped something that was working.
Whose hands did we put it in, though?
Yeah, that's not Jimmy's fault.
That's not Jimmy's fault.
That's not Jimmy's fault, though.
So hold on, let me ask you this question. I know this is a little off topic, but let me ask you this question. Whose fault is it that Baker Mayfield had the losing record in Cleveland? Because it's not Baker Mayfield's fault.
Jackson.
They have arguably the second, is anywhere between the second and third best rushing attack over the last 5 years. Not a single person on this chat or in this panel is going to argue that Nick Chubb is outside of the top 3 best running backs right now, even with Jonathan Taylor in the mix. But Baker Mayfield is the bad guy because they make Baker Mayfield throw the ball 40 times a game to nobody.
He's got a point.
Get him away from me. I'm standing on
I mean, here's the thing: is when you take the ball out of something that's working, that's the coach's fault. It was working for them. The running game was working for them, and they decided to stop running. I don't get that. Like, why in the world would you stop doing what's working?
You want somebody out of San Francisco? It should be Kyle Shanahan, low key.
No, get him away from me. Get him
low key. Kyle Shanahan needs to go.
So it's Kyle Shanahan that's the problem.
He been the problem. Look at what he did to Deebo Samuel. He been the problem.
Yeah, he's the problem.
All this little he one of them cute little gadget college coaches. Take your ass back to college. You and Oatmeal for Brains out in Arizona. Y'all both need to go back to college.
He's always been in the NFL.
And get your ass whooped. No, his daddy was in the NFL. Kyle Shanahan came up
but
from
his
college.
dad brought him in when he was at Washington, and then he was in Cleveland.
Kyle Shanahan was a coach in college. Him and old boy in Arizona. They got their hits from being great college coaches.
Kyle Shanahan was in Atlanta.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he
Didn't he
was
come off the Sean McVictory? He came off the Sean McVictory.
He was with his dad in Washington when they were the R word that we won't say. He was even the offensive coordinator in Cleveland. He was with Atlanta when they went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Patriots 3-2, you know. I mean, I won't bring up any bad memories, but Kyle's been in the NFL for a hot minute.
He do got a long stint in the NFL. You're right.
Yeah.
I thought he got all tricky and cute in college. I thought
You
he
must
was
be
like,
talking
oh,
about
boy.
Kingsbury.
I know
Yeah,
Cliff Kingsbury is that guy for sure. Yeah.
I mean, he got
Kyle.
fired up into the NFL. Where do they do that at?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna go there, but that's a different topic for a different day.
Kyle, yeah, you're right. Kyle Shanahan been in the NFL since 2004 under John Gruden. Ain't that crazy?
So our guy Trade said Kyle Shanahan first started in Tampa and with the Texans. Yep. He was coach under Gary Kubiak.
Yep,
Shanahan
Kubiak and John Gruden. Yep.
Yeah, so
I see it here now.
Yeah, Kyle, and that's the thing too. He does kind of give me that vibe of do as I say, not as I do. I am him when it comes to offensive gameplay. This is my show, and yeah, I don't know. So with that, holy, so I guess what we're saying is that Kyle Shanahan is the problem. It's not Jimmy G. I mean, how do you feel about that, Lions Den? Is that a fair assessment?
Totally went away from the Joe Flacco thing.
Really, I mean, it kind of is a fair assessment, but I do want a quarterback. Like, my thing is, I want a quarterback that can make the proper throws. And for what I've seen with Jimmy G and how the plays that we run, he's not it, right? He's not. Like, because I've said this before. People heard me say this. We are a dive play, trick play, dive, trick play team. That's it. I mean, he has to consistently try to hit Debo on slant routes, drag routes, and he's throwing the ball behind the defenders. I mean, throwing them behind the wide receivers. He's setting Debo up to almost get his life taken. Throwing it at two defense. Like what quarterback is going to make that throw? I mean, come on. And then I'm pretty sure on that same exact play, if I remember it correctly, Ayuk was standing wide open.
Let me ask you a quick question. Would you rather have a quarterback and then bring in a coaching staff that will properly scheme for your quarterback? Or would you rather have the coaching staff and then have them go through the quarterback carousel until they find a quarterback that fits their coaching style?
It's a very good question.
That's what the Bengals did.
I think the faster route is having a quarterback and then finding a coach that fits their style. Nobody thought Jimmy G was damn. Tom Brady don't make far. It's be crazy to me. People be like, Tom Brady, great quarterback. He really not. Tom Brady just is an accurate quarterback, and he's always been in a position to win because the coaches have put him in a position to win. How many times have we seen, how many 50, 60, 70-yard passes has Tom Brady completed from his shoulder? Now, did Julian Edelman take a slant? You know what I'm saying? Gronk, all of a sudden, just Gronk up a play that he caught 8 yards past the line of scrimmage and turned it into 40 yards. Yeah. And yeah, Randy Moss do it for a little bit. But if you really go back and look at Tom Brady's career, how many actual 50, 60 air yard passes have we seen out of that man? You don't, because they know that he can't do that.
It's so funny because C Money in the chat was totally on your side when it came to talking Bears, but as soon as no, I don't think. Wait a minute.
I'm not slandering Tom. No. Yeah, you're taking it the wrong way.
Hold on. He's not a Bears fan. I'm sorry, but anyway.
Yeah.
As soon as you started slandering Tom Brady,
no.
He said we got to end the show.
I'm not slandering Tom. Don't get it twisted. I do think Tom is great. I think that there is some things that Tom needs to be in debt to, and I think some of these other people need to understand that. But what I'm trying to say is Tom got into a situation with Bill Belichick, where Bill Belichick just simply went out there and said, manage the game, don't lose the game. Okay? The defense will do the rest. I think Jimmy G needs a team like that. Is all I'm saying. And Kyle Shanahan ain't that guy. And again, Kyle Shanahan hasn't really, he has not really wowed me, but he's gone to 2 NFC championships and a Super Bowl, so he's gonna keep his job for a little while.
I mean, when you run a bunch of trick plays and you keeping defenses like confused, yeah, you're gonna do that. But I mean, at the end of the day, like when it matters and you have to play that real X's and O's hard-nosed football, he just can't do it. He just can't do it. And then like your players don't adapt well. I mean, again, I need a new quarterback.
And, he said, I don't know when,
yeah.
I don't know how, but I know Jimmy G's got to get out of here right now.
I need a new quarterback. That's it.
Well, you have the new quarterback, so you're good.
I don't know how good I am with that yet. So
I mean, to be fair, we can't say Trey Lance is trash because we have yet to see a full season with him. This is going to be his first full season as the number 1 quarterback. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know, I'm praying for no injury because I want him. I want to see him do well. I want to see him do well. Now, will he take them back to the NFC Championship game? I don't know.
That defense still suspect.
Can I say something real quick?
Of course you can say something.
While we on quarterbacks, because we got someone in the chat.
Okay. I was gonna open it. I was gonna open it to chat.
Yeah.
I was gonna open it to chat if they had any questions for us. So let's get into it.
This person, he's a Saints fan. I'm just gonna put it out there. This man has repeatedly said,
"Hey, Lauren, I gotta go.
Winston
I can't be here for this smoke. I don't want this
Somebody
smoke.
please explain to me what he is on or what's happening here. I'm not seeing this.
Yeah, I don't want this smoke.
I'm just trying to figure this out.
Wait, repeat the question? Because we were too busy cackling. I was too busy cackling.
This man has said Jameis Winston is going to be the MVP this year. I want to know y'all thoughts on this.
Well,
I did say Jameis Winston was going to be MVP last year. You did? Like 4 weeks.
Well, honestly, we have 2 Saints fans in the chat.
Okay.
I guess the question is this particular Saints fan a moderator or not a moderator?
He's not a moderator.
But who are we talking about? Oh, no, I don't know who we talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, are we talking about Black? No, we're talking about Fat?
We talking about Black. Wait, are we talking about Black?
No, stop.
Nope.
We're talking about
We're talking about Fat?
It's develop key.
Oh, develop a key.
Oh, so
No,
we
not
was
him
all
enough.
the way off. My bad.
Yeah.
So we got somebody else that believes Jameis Winston.
I didn't realize we didn't have. I did not realize we had these new Saints fans.
I
in
knew
the chat.
Black was a Saints fan. Yeah. There we go. Got it.
There it
Develop a key.
Yeah.
There it is. Got it.
And
Yeah.
Michael Thomas, comeback player.
Michael Thomas is the slant king of America,
He
boy.
is.
You gotta really love his product, though.
I don't know if the Saints on offense are going to be cracked, but I do think that their defense might be a problem.
Isn't Alvin Kamara suspended? Right? He's missing like 6 or 8 games or something like that.
I think they're still waiting on the verdict,
Oh, okay.
but I know that it's coming. I know that it's
He's
coming.
playing. Got you. I ain't gonna lie. I like the Saints squad. If Kamara plays, they do. I don't know who their tight end is, but like they're gonna have Thomas back. They got Chris Olave, who I really like. You know, they got Kamara Jameis. You know, he got the. I mean, he showcased last year that the LASIK worked. He beat up on the Green Bay Packers
before he got hurt.
5
Yeah,
touchdowns,
he beat up on the
5
Patriots
touchdowns against
too.
the Green Bay Packers. Like he was really on the roll. I sure did come on the show like, hey, look, y'all want a hot take? Jameis Winston might go around win Super Bowl MVP. I said that. I don't know about if I feel that again this year, but I do think Jameis Winston is better than people think. It's hard being blind. Trust me, it's hard being blind.
So you're saying it's not his fault. It's not his fault, but he done had the surgery, and so he's good. He's good. Straight said the Packers defense week 1 was not the same defense at the end of the season. Y'all crazy.
And let's be realistic. How often has anyone ever seen besides when he was backing up Favre, Aaron Rodgers play that bad.
Oh, I mean, I've seen it a few times being in Chicago. I ain't gonna lie to you, but specifically one time he had thrown 2 interceptions, then we broke his collarbone.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I've seen him throw a lot of, and that's the thing. Like Aaron Rodgers is still great. Don't get it twisted, but he ain't. You know, he has his games where he just be mad. That low key, as much as I hate to say it, that is the most exciting team to watch this year for me, because I can't wait to watch that shit crash and burn.
I will say though too, like it just seemed like the never-ending Aaron Rodgers story last offseason going into last season. So it maybe that had a little bit of something to do with it for going into week 1 against the Saints. I don't know, but I mean it was just the Aaron Rodgers show at nauseum last season, I feel like. But
outside of your team, like we know obviously you're super excited for everybody. You know, we all have exciting things going on at our teams. Except for Buffalo. Buffalo's still the same shit, but Pittsburgh got whole new stuff going on.
I've got them going to the Super Bowl, Dev. They're my Super Bowl pick. Yes.
No. I mean, I don't know. There is one team in the AFC that I think could still give them some problems, and that person is sitting way at the bottom from where I am in my little box that I can see. She's sitting next to me on screen. So I do think that they are going to still be a problem, but the AFC is pretty much, I mean, he ain't wrong. The AFC is probably going through Buffalo, unless some sleeper team comes out of nowhere. I don't think that they really have any true competition outside of Cincinnati. No offense to you in Pittsburgh. Y'all know what's going on. And,
I mean, not even the Chiefs?
No, I don't think the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs really actually regress without Tyreek. As much as I hate Tyreek Hill, I think that they still regress without Tyreek, because I think that you'll see there were a lot of holes in that offense, and they lost a lot of other key guys like the Byron Pringle and they have goddamn Stonehands Valdez Scantling out of there now.
Didn't McCall Hardman get injured too?
Right, McCall Hardman is out, so it's going to be tough in Kansas City.
Love them or hate them, they lost Honey Badger on defense.
Facts. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot going on in Kansas City that I don't think they're not the same team they were 2 years ago. They weren't the same team 2 years ago last year, right? So it's just not the same. They had their little Cinderella story, and unfortunately Andy Reid is known for those, and I think until Andy Reid leaves, they're not going to do anything else, unfortunately. San Francisco, we know that, we don't know what's going on with Trey Lance, so who are you excited outside of your team to watch? Or what narratives out there are you excited to keep up with outside of your team?
I mean, obviously, I think, obviously we'll probably keep a close eye on the Rams to see if they can do it again, to see if they're able to get OBJ back. That's kind of getting to a point where it's like, all right, dude, where are you gonna go? I mean, I know he's rehabbing and coming back from an injury. Everyone just seems to think that this Miami Dolphins team is a new team, and now that they got Tyreek and they've got their new coach who came from San Francisco. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from their coach. He's definitely a football guy. I'm interested to see what type of scheme he has for Tua Tagovailoa, but I will say, and I'm just gonna keep it a buck. I will be watching Miami from a spectator standpoint, not necessarily from, I hope they do well. I hope they're all what they're cracked up to be. I'm literally that girl in the corner, all right, so what y'all gonna do?
Oh god,
that is me.
Oh man, no, that was great.
That is me. Kid, what do you think? Outside of your Buffalo Bills,
outside. That is tough. That honestly can be tough to really look at. One team that I'm kind of leaning towards, and that was just after I missed the second episode of Hard Knocks, but I'm interested to see the Lions because I love, as I was watching the first episode, just you could see the passion. We all know about the passion from Dan Campbell, but Williams, their backup running back, when he broke down the huddle towards the end of that episode, you could see the passion. So I think that they're going to be an interesting team. They've added some key pieces. They've added some help elsewhere, and they have a lot of minds on the coaching staff. I mean, guys like Deuce Staley, Aaron Glenn.
I love Deuce Staley.
To name a few. That's a lot. They said it was 84 years of NFL knowledge. They were saying
just with all their coaches combined.
With all their coaches combined, that's a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
On one team. It's just can they put it all back together?
Yeah, I think back to that first episode of Hard Knocks where Dan Campbell was just like, I've got a plan. I just need you guys to stick with me. I need you guys to excel and perform at a certain level in order for this plan to be executed. He is really, really trying to build in every way possible the trust within his players. And I hope that they are entrusting in him. I hope that the players are playing for him. I mean, this is the same. I mean, I know we've talked about this ad nauseum, but what other coach is going to get up at the podium after a game and shed tears because he just sees, a team fighting, and it still just doesn't go their way. So, I think the Lions are definitely a good team to watch, obviously, for sure. What about you, Lions, Den?
I'm gonna keep my eye on the Raiders, man. I want to see what this whole Derek Carr, Devontae Adams connection is gonna be like. Being that the Raiders are already established, like building pretty much a lot around Waller. I just want to see how they're gonna be able to incorporate those two in the passing game and see how that's actually gonna work. I mean, obviously Devontae is gonna get open, right? He's going to get open. And then, with him being able to stretch on the outside now, is that going to open up the field in the middle for Waller for more touches or vice versa? How that's going to work. And if they really can get Carr to get over the hump to get to the Super Bowl. But I'm also, like you, keeping an eye on the Rams too. Because I love to see them go down. Love to see them go down.
Don't count out Hunter Renfrow down there as well.
Yeah. Hunter Renfrow. I've been a big fan of Hunter Renfrow since he was in Clemson. I watched a lot of Clemson football, and knowing that he's always that clutch factor, I love Hunter.
Isabel.
My eye is on a team in Massachusetts. New England Patriots.
It's interesting that they don't have an offensive coordinator too. Like they're apparently
exactly.
Wait,
I was really high on Mac Jones last year.
They're not committee. Yeah, they're not designating one person as the coordinator. They're all like splitting up the role.
Committee. Yeah.
Gosh, if there's anyone that knows the rules better than Bill Belichick, no. Well, I'm sorry, Isabel. Go ahead.
I was like really high on Mac Jones last year, and from what Bill Belichick had to say is that he definitely got into shape because we saw his picture kind of like Tom Brady's last year, the Lego Man. I really am excited to see what they have to do with Mac Jones. I mean, they haven't really done anything to that offense to give them any weapons except for the draft and what they could and all of free agency. I'm kind of looking to see what can Bill Belichick pull out this season to make the playoffs. I mean, if they can in the first place. I mean, I really don't know if Miami will with Mr. Tagovailoa down there in Miami, but the Bills are a lock for sure. And as much as I love to watch the Cinderella team, I think that's going to be the Jets this year, which I really don't think so anymore after the Zach Wilson thing. I was really high on the Jets earlier this offseason. I was really, really high. And then the Zach Wilson thing here, I was like, okay. But I think the Patriots are going to be interesting. I mean, we've seen Tom Brady go with like no-name guys and do something. I mean, Mac Jones is like supposed to be this next great thing. Can he do it? I mean, he's got potential to be really good, and I mean, he won offense. No, he didn't win offensive player of the year. He almost won offensive player of the year, but that's because he was a quarterback.
Yeah.
But I think he has a lot of potential, and seeing as he played for Nick Saban and now he's playing for Bill Belichick, I mean, you got a chip on your shoulder that you really, really have to do really good. And I kind of want to see him succeed, hopefully.
Yeah, Nick Saban came from that Bill Belichick tree when Belichick was in Cleveland and Nick Saban was the defensive coordinator for the Browns. I mean, obviously we know Nick Saban has made his bones in college football, but he did have some some time in the NFL with the Browns, and obviously which was a disaster when he was the head coach at Miami. To that then ultimately led to him going to Alabama, and that was all she wrote after that. It's just been championship after championship, whether BCS or college football playoffs, whatever. Like that's all they do down there. That's all they do.